Hi there. So today we're going to talk about creating graphics specifically for use in your social media. I'm doing this class on LinkedIn profiles and tuning up your LinkedIn profiles, and one of the questions I got is, how do I actually do that resizing? So we're going to show you how I do it anyway, and just give you the basics. So the first thing you want to do is find a graphic. So I'm going to go to a place called commons.wikimedia.org. So this is a place where there's royalty-free graphics that you can use. Okay, so the idea is that you want to be able to use them freely in your materials, but not have to pay for an ongoing licensing fee. And so there's different rules that you have to follow, so you're responsible for figuring all that out, but they do have a terms of use that you need to follow. But basically you can find graphics here. So if I just poke around, I can say, well, let me search for background. Whoops. See what we come up with. Okay, so here's some different background images. And I'm going to pick this one because it's blue and I like blue, and it's got lots of space, so I can put titles onto it or whatever I want. So, poke around and find a graphic you like. Now, there are other sites. One of my favorites is called Storyblocks, and I have a subscription to this. I can't remember what it is, but if you're interested, get in touch with me. I've got a link so that I get some little spiff if you sign up for them. But here, if I say background, I'm going to get massive options. And in fact, I could choose something like this, where again it's blue and then there's some variations and whatever I want. Or I can do a technology background and try to combine some things. So you get some cool stuff. You can see there's one here that I've actually used in my own stuff, but you got this laptop, you got circuit boards, you get all kinds of stuff, and there's just lots and lots and lots of it. There are also paid images. So if you want to spend a little money, you can, but in terms of learning the process, let's go ahead and start with just something that is already available to you. So I'm going to click download here, and it says download the original, and you see here it's 2920 by 2126 pixels. So it's 2900 pixels. All right, so that's in my download folder. And then I go to the LinkedIn training that I'm doing over at the smallbizthoughts.org. And we see that the ideal banner is 1584. I'm going to write that down, 1584 by 396. Okay, so there's a couple of ways that you can do the resizing. First, let me just go to this, show in folder, and you see it's highlighted here. So if I right click on that, I can just open it with Paint. And then I have to zoom out to get the whole thing, and because I need it to be no more than 1584, the easiest thing for me to do is just resize this. Click on resize and go to pixels and then put in 1584, and it will automatically keep the aspect ratio. So now I've got something that's 1584, and I need to chop it down to the 396 tall. And if you look way down at the bottom here, you can see it says 1584 by 1153. So this is about 3 times as big as I need it to be. So what you can do is choose select and just go way over to the left, and you can't really see the selection lines, but on the bottom you can see how big it is. And when you get it to where it's 384 or 396, I'm sorry, 396, well, I'm getting 396, 397. You see, that's the problem basically with these, is that it's really hard in the Paint program to get it exactly where you want it to be, unless you have some super duper mouse, but Paint isn't really designed for this kind of stuff. So, all right. So I'm at 397. So if I say crop now, I've got it at 1582, so I'm about 3 pixels off. Anyway, you can see it's okay, but it's not great. So let me also go ahead and show you. If I right click and I say open with Photoshop. Now you can get a free or temporary version of Photoshop from Adobe. Just go to adobe.com and you can download a temporary version, or you can get Photoshop Express with a lot of products, or just go ahead and buy it if you need to. It's a lot less expensive. So here it makes it much easier, because when I do here, I'll go to the image and resize. Again, I'm going to do 1584 and zoom in just a little. And now I can see the selection much more easily. And actually, I can, whoops, go off the screen on the left with this program, and it's going to start at the left margin. So then I know I'm totally good. And then I can go down like that until I get to in the neighborhood. Now, what I can do in Photoshop that I can't do in Paint is I can make it bigger than I actually want. Actually, let me just go down so I don't get the first one, but I'm going to get all of the second windmill, and I'm going to make it taller than I actually need. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to crop. And then in Photoshop, you have the ability to go to image and say canvas size. So now it's 380, it's 1584, but we just changed this to 396 for height, and then I'm going to use this little arrow to pin it to the top. So now it's only going to cut the stuff from the bottom up. And when I do that, it warns me, you're going to cut off part of your picture. You go, yeah, okay. So now I've got that. So anyway, that looks reasonable. So I'm going to save that, and I'm going to save it as BG for background windmills. Well, they're not really windmills; they're power supplies. But whatever. I'm going to call them windmills. Windmill. All right. So I say okay. So now I've got that, and I'm saving it as a JPEG. So I say okay. You can adjust the quality and so forth. Anyway, we're not going to get into all that. But then you go to the tools, the type option, and you choose a color that's going to show up pretty well here. It's got a nice dark one, but I'll get something that's a little more classy. And you choose the font that you want. So, there's whatever fonts you have available on your computer are going to be available here. So choose something that looks nice, for business. And then you, and you don't have to type anything into your background for LinkedIn, but you certainly can. So, and by the way, these size limitations are good for about 20 minutes because you never know when they're going to change it. So we're going to call this Cousin Larry's, and that's too big, so I'm going to make that much, much smaller. All right, so we're going to go back to editing that. So it's Cousin Larry's. Pretty good tech support. All right, so I've got that. Copy that just so I can reuse it on the next example. So, and I can move that around and make it look good, and whatever I want to do, and that will show up on the background in my, I'll have to save it, so I will go File and Save again, and it thinks I want to save it as a Photoshop, but I'm going to go back to JPEG, and when I save it, it goes through this whole routine again of what quality and size and so forth. So that's that. Now, if I were in Paint and I wanted to do that, I would just use the Paint tool where I just go to the A and I pick a color, and I have more limitations on color. But when I start typing in here, I'll say Cousin Larry. And again, I'm going to make that smaller, maybe bigger than that. So how about 36? All right, so Cousin Larry's, and I don't like that color, so I'm gonna have to, I'll just go with the white. So we'll say Cousin Larry's pretty good tech support. And here again, it's a little more difficult to move it around because you basically have to move the top of the text and the bottom and so forth until it goes where it wants to go. Then you click somewhere outside the text area and boom, that's it. So, and this is at 50%. So there's the 100% view. It's nice and big and looks okay. So you go File, Save As, and we're gonna call this BG. Oh, it's saving in a different location. Paint doesn't remember where you saved stuff last, so. BG Windmill 2. All right, so now I've got a background that I can just import into LinkedIn, okay? So there's different ways to do it, and you just have to play around with what's comfortable to you, but you own at least Paint, and it may not be the most beautiful, amazing thing in the world, but the other thing is you can go to places like Fiverr, Fivver.com, and this is a place where you can have people do all kinds of stuff for $5. So I'm not going to sign into this, but and so you just say graphic for LinkedIn, and you can be that specific because there's so many people doing graphics, and they literally say, I will design your graphic for $5. And if all you want is to say, I want a technology background and I want my thing on there, this person will put their logo on a background. Now that one's $25, but most of them start at $5, but they'll say, well, it's $5 for this, and then if you want a logo instead of just a font, then that's an extra $5, and so forth and so on. But basically everything's done in $5 increments. So anyway, that is kind of the most fundamental introduction to doing stuff with the graphics for social media. And again, what you do in Facebook or other things is going to have a different size. So Twitter has a different size and so forth. You kind of have to poke around and read their information about how you do each of these, but that's how you get started. If you need more information about my classes on LinkedIn and other stuff, it's inside the community at smallbizthoughts.org. Have an excellent day.